Hi there. Football is a very lucrative business. And I'm saying that because football clubs out there are making billions of profits each and every year. And by the way, I'm talking about billions in terms of dollars, in terms of euros, in terms of pounds. And in the same breath, football players who are actually playing professional football in different clubs out there, which play in different leagues, for example, the League One, La Liga, Premier League, Bundesliga, and so forth, are also making good amounts of money in terms of wages and salary. That's so because football players actually are paid tens of millions of euros in terms of their wages or salary each and every year. And by the way, the money making in football doesn't end there. Also, football associations, given companies which have exclusive rights, for example, to cover specific events or specific competition, for example, the UEFA Champions League, for example, the Euros and so forth, are also making good amount of profit each and every year. As you can see, football is a very, very lucrative business, and actually it has many people in the pipeline making money. And the making of money in football doesn't end there. Also, during transfer windows of players out there, where players move from one club to another, football clubs and even agents of different players out there make good amounts of money. And by the way, we have two main transfer windows each and every year. The long transfer window is the one which happens between July and August each and every year, and a short transfer window which happens in the month of January. That's when clubs make additional amount of money. You are all much welcome to the Money Daily YouTube channel. I'm yours, Afagza Sifuna. And by the way, if you're new here, kindly consider subscribing to this channel for you to be getting awesome insights on how you can multiply your money each and every day. Having said that, all of us actually hear different figures being floated out there each and every day around those windows of transfer which I've talked about. For example, player XYZ has moved, for example, from club A to another club at a fee of, for example, 30 million euros and add-ons of, for example, 5 million euros. Okay? Another player has moved from one club to another on a transfer fee of 50 million and so forth. And in fact, even this week, there was news with regards to Anton moving to Manchester United from Ajax Amsterdam at a transfer fee of 100 million euros, which is actually kinda an insane amount of money. Exactly what is a transfer in football? A transfer is actually when a club sells a player to another club. In essence, a player who's a professional football player moves from one club to another. And this actually entails these two clubs agreeing on the sale price of that particular player, and also that player who's being transferred actually signing with a new club. Of course, at the back end of it, the player is also being registered with the new association. At the end of it is when you can say a player has actually transferred officially. And you might be wondering, what determines the selling price of a player when they are being transferred? Some factors go into clubs agreeing what is going to be the selling price of any particular player out there. For example, what length of their contract is remaining with the current club? Okay? What abilities does the player possess? Okay? Even some other aspects with regards to what the potential future business outlook of that particular player coming to a new club is going to look like, and so forth. So all these, among other factors, are considered to determine the price at which a player is going to be sold. And even beyond that, there are other also personal terms which have to be agreed with the player before they sign any contract with the new club. For example, what is going to be their bonus like? Are they, for example, going to get a sign-on bonus? Are they, for example, going to get, for example, bonus for the number of games they have shown up for that new club in a given season? Are they, for example, going to get bonus in case they score X amount of money, X amount of goals, okay? Are they, for example, going to get bonus in case they win these and that kind of trophies or competitions out there? So there's so much that goes into deciding or even agreeing as to whether a player can transfer from one club to another. By the end of it, we all see players moving across different clubs in the course of their careers, which, by the way, is a very, very lucrative business. And that's so because clubs and players equally are also having an eye on the business side of things. And that's so because clubs out here want to be as successful as they can get. And that's so because in case a club becomes more successful, it's gonna mean they're gonna have a better commercial outlook, in that they're gonna get commercial revenue through endorsements, through promotions, and so forth. And even beyond that, they're gonna get, for example, good deals with different media outlets out there. We're talking about media contracts that clubs are gonna have. And all these actually mean big monies for clubs out there. And even for players, they are moving well, seeking greener pastures. A player can move, for example, from one club to another, and in the process of moving, they're going to bargain for a higher and higher salary, also looking out for their own individual interest with regards to wages and salaries. So, football transfers are actually a major business. We've seen some interesting football transfers in the recent past. I hope you have dropped a comment down below. Which transfers have fascinated you? Which transfers do you think have been successful in the recent past? Just to give you 3 examples with regards to some of the outstanding transfers which happened in the recent past are, for example, the most expensive transfer in the history of football was that transfer whereby Neymar moved from Barcelona to PSG. That transfer, which happened in 2017, actually cost the Paris Saint-Germain Football Club a whopping cost of 222 million euros. You heard it right. 222 million euros. That's what PSG paid to Barcelona for them to release Neymar to PSG, right? And in English football, for example, the most expensive transfer in the history of Premier League was that which happened last year, where Jack Grealish moved from Aston Villa to Manchester City. That transfer cost Manchester City a whopping 117 million euros. And when you look at, for example, at the defense front, the most expensive defense player transfer in the history of football was that transfer whereby Maguire moved from Leicester City to Manchester United in 2019. That transfer cost Manchester United a whopping 87 million euros. It's kind of insane if you think about it, because big monies are shuffled between different clubs. And by the way, for a transfer to come to a close, also clubs have to actually wire money from one club to another. And this is actually taken note of through the official FIFA page called the TMS page. And monies are transferred between the official accounts of this club and also the same transfer recorded in the TMS. That's when our transfer is actually concluded. I know you're now wondering, given football transfers are such lucrative businesses and also the transfer fees are actually quite high, how exactly is the transfer fee distributed among the different parties? Just to mention to you all, as I stated, transfer fees are actually paid from one club to another. To give you all an example, this recent transfer whereby we've seen Anton join Manchester United from Ajax Amsterdam, the 100 million euros transfer fee is going to be actually deposited to the account of Ajax Amsterdam directly. This actually wiring happens between different clubs, whereby the money are actually deposited directly to the club at which the player is coming from. But behind the scene, there's ways in which this money is distributed among different parties out there. For example, this money is distributed among the club at which the player is coming from. This money is also distributed to the agent who facilitated this particular transfer. The money is also distributed, for example, to previous clubs which the player played for, and so forth. And even in some instances, although very rare, in case a player has an agreement with the club, most of these big name players, they could also get a cut of their transfer fee. And by the way, the biggest chunk of this transfer fee actually goes to the club which the player comes from. And we're talking about anywhere between 15 to 20% of the net amount. Mind you, I'm not talking about the total amount which was transferred, because this entire amount also has something to have to be deducted. And then also football agents out there are making good amount of money. In that, depending on the experience and where an agent is with regard to the pecking order of how thorough they are with their work, also agents out there are making somewhere between 5% to 20% of the profit made on any particular transfer. And even beyond that, also the previous clubs which the player played for are actually also getting some money. To give you an example, think about it, for example, a player like, for example, Romelu Lukaku started playing at the age of 13 for Gent in Belgium, right? He has played for multiple clubs in the course of his career. Guys, believe it or not, once Romelu Lukaku moves from one club to another, and they pay a transfer fee, all those previous clubs which he played for from the age of 12 years also get a small amount of money from that particular transfer. And most of the times, we're talking about roughly 5% of this money being called, that amount of money called solidarity fee, which in essence goes to all those clubs the player played for from the age of 12 as a form of solidarity. In essence, these clubs contributed towards forming that particular player. So all these clubs the player played for are going to be part of sharing that 5% of solidarity fee. And then beyond that, the other amount of money which is remaining, of course, is also split depending on agreements that exist. For example, based on the players out there, if they have agreement with the club with regards to their transfer and so forth, right? That is how transfers fee are actually split among different parties out there. And beyond this, also most of the time, transfer fees or even any transfer comes with something called add-ons. What are add-ons? Essentially, they are just as the name suggests, are those extra perks which come with any particular transfer, and they could be perks to the club or even perks to the player based on that particular player meeting some of the preset conditions, right? That particular player has to fulfill some objective for them to be able to activate add-ons. That's why you see, for example, a player is moving from one club to another, and for example, a transfer fee of 50 million euros, for example, and then there are add-ons of maybe 10 million euros. But these add-ons are subject to a particular player meeting or achieving some objectives. To give you an example, add-ons could be pegged on, for example, a player winning the Champions League, okay? A player, for example, winning the league, okay? A player, for example, winning individual awards and so forth. So that particular fee, for example, an add-on of 10 million euros can be broken down even into 20 different things, which are actually payable based on a particular player meeting some key objectives. And of course, to motivate players and even to deter players from actually signing with different clubs out there, also individual clubs out there have bonus systems and bonus payment mechanisms. And even clubs occasionally go way beyond their own thresholds to actually ensure the big name players in the clubs are actually happy, and they try the best to maintain them so that they cannot sign with other clubs out there, or even they cannot trigger transfer requests. Because as we know, transfers are actually triggered by either the club itself or even the agent of a particular player. So big name players have to be kept happy at any particular club. That's why we have bonuses. Bonuses around maybe in case someone signs to a new club. Bonuses around in case someone meets a particular target, like for example, being the most valuable player, scoring the most goals, and so forth, right? Bonuses, for example, in case someone is getting poached by another club, there's something called loyalty bonus. Even beyond the transfer fee, in case someone rejects any particular transfer approach by a given club, the club may actually reward them with a loyalty bonus, which most of the times is also a good amount of money. That is how the big transfer business happens in football. And by the way, this is a very, very lucrative business. What do you think? What do you think about the entire transfer business in the football fraternity? Also, share with us, which transfers do you think were a success? Also, which transfers do you think were a flop in the recent history? Thanks a lot for watching this video. I look forward to share with you other awesome videos next time. Bye bye, and you all take care.